Hey, what's up guys, it's Sam with Academy Fam, and today I'm going to show you how to create a house build-up in Ableton Live. So right here I have a project with a breakdown and a drop, but I have no build. So today we're going to create that build from scratch. So let's listen to the breakdown a little bit and the drop, and then we can get started. Okay, so as you can hear, we have like this breakdown with few instruments. We also have the, let's see, the melody from the build, from the drop actually. And a cool plug. So that's something we can use. We can build our, we can create our build from that melody. But yeah, we also have this like big washout that happens. So that already creates kind of an almost a downlifter in itself. So we don't have any effects. So I like to start my builds with effects. So let's create a few audio tracks. Let's go to our samples. And I like to start my builds with a downlifter or an impact of sorts in the first half. So let's go to, let's see, house essential samples. Like this one. So this impact has a lot of low end and low mids. So let's actually line this up a little bit. So that really creates a nice low impact for us. Now I have to fill up the upper register of the frequency spectrum as well. So let's see, let's go to FX Toolkit. Nice white noise downlifter. It's super simple. You can create this in Ableton really easily. An operator with just a filter and a white noise. So yeah, let's listen. So these are our impact and our downlifter. Let's create 2 more tracks or 3, and let's do the riser. So I always like my risers up to the bar bit before the drop. So that's the pre-drop fill right here. So we're gonna build this build up to this 32 mark right here. So let's go into risers. Let's see, we're on 125 BPM. So I always try to pick the samples that's closest to the tempo we're using, because we can always warp it. But if you use a tempo that's, for example, like 160, the warping is gonna really mess up the audio of the sample you're using. So I'm gonna go for these 128 samples. Actually, let's see what key we're in. So I see we're in G minor. So we can go for a G sample or a D sample, because D is the 5th of G. You can always use that sample. So let's see. This is in G and it sounds nice, and it's also cuts off exactly where we want it to. So I have my Ableton set so it automatically warps this sample. So it detected 128 and it warped it to complex mode. Now you can set that actually really easily with, you go to preferences, go to record, warp and launch. Then you can set the default warp mode to complex, which is really nice, really handy. And also auto warp long samples. And set this to auto. That's the way I like it. You can choose for yourself, but just like this, I just dropped it in and it's instantly perfect. So let's listen to how it sounds and change the volume accordingly. Alright, so that sounds good. Let's go to Buildup vocals. Let's see, maybe there's a cool sample here. Like this one. It needs a bit of cleaning up. So I dropped it in. Let's solo it. This is an F, so we are in G minor, so let's pitch it up 2 semitones. And I also hear a lot of low-end rumbling, as you can see also. So let's just cut that off. We can actually cut off these tails entirely. So yeah, that sounds good. So that's the effects section. Let's go to the drums. So for the drums, I always like a build-up snare and maybe a clap or a kick too. So let's see, we have stadium claps here for the breakdown already. I think we can just extend this and maybe make it faster over here. So it goes double time. So that's nice. And let's create a MIDI track for our snare build. So as you can see, I always like to do my drums in audio only. But for snare builds, I like to do the MIDI for reasons I will show you in a second. Let's find a nice snare. Let's see. House Essential Samples. I want a short, snappy. This one's nice. So I'm gonna drop it right here. And it'll automatically create a simpler, but I don't want a simpler, I want a sampler. I'm gonna right click on this banner here and go from simpler to sampler. Now we can create a MIDI track. Now, let's see. So I'm just gonna do this, duplicate this, and then go faster at the 3. Maybe even faster at this point. So the reason I want to do MIDI is because you can really easily go into the pitch and oscillator section and transpose the sample without having to warp it and distort the audio signal. So you can just create a nice pitch build up. I always like to do it in octaves, so it's going from 0 to +12. So yeah, and then let's add an EQ. There's a really strong tonal fundamental, so I want to cut that out as the build progresses. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna click on the frequency knob and drag it up. So it ends up maybe a little bit. Maybe some reverb too. So let's click the dry wet and just do something like this. Okay, so let's listen to that in context. So that's the drums and the effects done. Now I always like to tease the main hook of the drop in the build itself. So I'm gonna grab this drop bass right here. Let's see. Okay, so that's a little short, and the second part right here. Let's make this even. So we have the melody of the drop without like the fullness and the sub bass and everything. So yeah, let's make this a little more interesting. So I think drop bus already has a washout on here that goes from up to down, back up. So all we have to do really is create this filter sweep right here. So we have this low pass filter right here. You can change the frequency. So let's go from down all the way up. Actually, let's duplicate this, then select this, and then go from. And just like the washout, we can go from down to up, back down. Let's see how that sounds in context. So I don't think I want the melody in the second part of the build up, so I'm gonna delete all the notes. Just keep this G, and just like the snare we did. And then do a pitch up effect. So I like to do my pitch ups with Serum. I want to go click this little triangle here, press configure, and then press this knob right here. So this is the pitch bend knob. So our range is already set to plus 12 semitones and down to 12 semitones. So we just have to click this right here. Now we can automate this. Just to go over, just like this. So that sounds really nice. So let's hear this in context of the breakdown and the drop. Okay, nice. That sounds really cool. So just to go over what we did, we inserted a impact and a downlifter and 2 risers. In the effects section, we created a build snare and used the stadium collapse as also a form of tension building. And then we teased the drop bass in the build as well. So that's how you create a nice future house build up. I hope you like this tutorial, and I'll see you next time.